Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Lyrlian for ESFI World, bringing you a recap of the GSTL Week 8. The story of the teams playing last weekend was a long and a hard one. FXO versus oGsTL, and StarTale Q was going up against New Star Hoso. We're starting off with oGsTL versus FXO. FXO was not playing with the full roster since Oz was in the States for MLG. However, Linok made sure to stay behind to help, and it was a good thing he did. The opening game was on Calm Before the Storm and featured FXO's head coach Choya versus the Dark Templar Master Inca. Inca proxied a robotics facility, but Choya scouted it and shut it down before Inca could use it. Choya then set up 2 Stargates at the bottom of the map, which went completely unscouted. Using a swarm of Phoenix, Choya did significant economic damage and sniped many of Inca's Colossi. Inca had to GG. Next up for OGS was former Brood War professional Finn on Belshire Beach. Finn got off to a rough start due to both early Zealot pressure and a Dark Templar follow-up, and seemed to be behind. Patiently waiting for its upgrades, Finn showed remarkable restraint in pushing out, but when he did, he managed to snipe Choya's third base and then pick off a Colossus. Soon, Finn managed to clean up Choya's army and evened up the score at 1-1. Next up was the Towel Terran Gumiho, who really didn't get a chance to show any of his true talent when Finn went for one of the most razor-fine timing attacks in TVT history. Opening with what looked to be a 1-1-1 build, Finn pumped out a ton of Hellions and a few Vikings, which blind counters Gumiho's Banshee Expand build and put a quick end to him. After 2 losses, FXO wanted very much to shut Finn down and sent out Lucky on Cloud Kingdom. The game began poorly for Lucky, who took an enormous damage from an early bunker rush. However, Lucky fought back tooth and nail, winning some crucial engagement with an excellent Infestor Link composition. Lucky managed to take the game. Next, it seemed OGS had a sniper in mind to take out Lucky on Jules' side, Juktu, but without a specific build in mind, he seemed to flounder and lost to Lucky in a prolonged macro game. With match point coming up quickly, OGS sent out a GSTL Giant Supernova on Antigua Shipyard. The game played out fairly passively. Supernova's Hellion Banshee timing didn't do much damage, and the mid-game was entirely comprised of battles over the center of the map. When Supernova finally managed to secure that essential middle of the map with bunkers and a planetary fortress, not even Lucky's tech switches could budge him. Lucky had to concede. The score now tied up at 3-3. Supernova's next opponent was ASD on Crossfire, who, unlike Juktu, had a build in mind to snipe the OGS Terran player. He employed a very aggressive 1-base Marine tank push to contain Supernova, who played too greedily, and it cost him the game. FXO is now on match point, and oGsTL decided to send out Liquid Hero to try and take it home for them. But with Linux still on the horizon, it was going to be an uphill battle. ASD again had a very specific build in mind, using 2 racks against Hero's Nexus first. Hero appropriately cancelled his Nexus with some superb micro held off the aggression, turning the tables and containing ASD in his base for quite a long time. Once he finally broke out, ASD looked in a great position to take his expansion and the game. However, Hero isolated many pockets of ASD's bio with great army control and patience, and eventually took the game. Hero's victory over ASD set up the ace match between Hero and Linok on Metropolis in what would be one of the most dramatic games of the day. Both players played fairly passively, setting up their economies before going into high aggression. Linok committed to Mutalisks. Hero got the newly introduced Phoenix range to buff his small numbers of Phoenixes. Linok bolstered his ground army with Roaches and Zerglings. Hero won the air battle after getting the range upgrade, but Hero's small number of Immortals, Stalkers and Sentries quickly fell to the Zerg swarm, and just like that, oGsTL had been eliminated from the team league. Over in Group B, StarTale and NS Hoso are fighting for a spot in the playoffs. Both of these teams had to battle very hard to get to this point. New Star Hoso were definitely the underdogs in this situation, as they have been all season. The match started with Curious versus the unknown Flower on Belshire Beach. Flower went for a highly aggressive Baneling opener that was defended superbly by Curious, giving him a lead. He rode to an early 1-0 victory for StarTale. Not wasting any time, Anasoso sent out their Code S champion Jakji to secure them some kills before StarTale would snipe him, and get some kills he did. Beginning with Curious on Calm Before the Storm, Jakji played a very standard macro game that eventually strangled out the struggling Curious. The third game was July on Daybreak, where Jakji played an incredible game in which he seemed to be dead quite early, but July went for a short-sighted strategy, committing everything to his attack. Jakji barely held it off and went on to win with a single drop that completely demolished July's economy. Finally, the ever-impressive StarTale Squirtle was sent out to snipe Jagchi on Crossfire. Again, the game proved to be somewhat passive, with the first major aggression proving to be the only aggression all game, finishing Storm 2 seconds after Jagchi pushed in with a huge Bioforce and all of his SCVs. Squirtle Storms were the only thing that won him the game. The series was once again tied up at 2-2 when NSOSO sent out last week's champion Seal, who eliminated both MVP and Nesty. On dual side, both players went for macro-oriented openings, Squirtle going Stargate and Seal eventually tanking into Mutalisks. The game ended in a base race, however Seal had not prepared enough defenses at his home base. He lost his main, he lost his natural, before trying to engage Squirtle's army at his third. The Mutalisk Spinecrawler combination was no match for Squirtle's Deathball. Next, NSOSO put their hopes on Sting to snipe Squirtle. Sting managed to succeed, holding off Squirtle's proxy Void Ray build on Antigua Shipyard. StarTale sent out Virus on Cloud Kingdom to break the 3-3 tie. Sting did not seem to be as adept as Virus in the positional chess game that is Mech TVT, and eventually lost the game. The last hope for NSOSO was Tassadar on Entombed Valley. StarTale's chances of advancing were ended quickly after Virus gained an early lead using an uncommonly timed marine push. Virus followed that up with an excellently positioned bio push on Tassadar's third. Virus won that engagement and went in for the kill, ending New Stars Hoso's inspiring run this season. So for the semi-finals, we have StarTale taking on Team MVP and FXO going up against Team Prime. The winner of these matches will determine who will go to Las Vegas to IPL 4 to play the grand finals of the GSTL. That'll do it for week 8 of the GSTL. For more coverage and news around esports, find us on Twitter at ESFI and on the web at esfiworld.com. Until next time, this has been Lyrlian for ESFI World.